My name is Wyatt Zieger for the ICU video coaching series. Our inaugural guest today spent 3 years in the WHL with the Prince George Cougars, played for Italy, Germany, Switzerland, and the Netherlands overseas, coached 17 years at the U of A, and is to be entering his third season with the Drayton Valley Thunder. And without further ado, we bring in the immaculate Eric Thurston. Eric,
hey,
thanks for joining us.
No, absolutely. Thank you very much for having me on.
I'm going to start with a softball. A lot of people say they've never seen you or actor Stanley Tucci in the same room together. How do you respond to those allegations?
Well, one thing, I know I got to get out more. That's kind of with everything going on. But people have often said in my younger days, I looked a lot like John Travolta. That was kind of my calling, and I missed that Saturday Night Live and the disco era. That was not quite, but that's who they say I look like, John Travolta.
John Travolta. Well, hopefully you guys align differently on the religious spectrum.
Exactly.
So Eric,
Yes.
This year your team went 26, 25, and 7 under your tenure. You're able to knock off Bonnyville in the first round in 6 games, and we saw a goaltending battle. Maybe unlike any other we've ever seen in the AJHL. Do you feel like you have any unfinished business knowing that you had a matchup set with the Crusaders that is, all in likelihood, not going to happen?
Yeah, absolutely. When we had our exit meeting with the guys, it was very quick. Kind of there was a Thursday evening call from the league, and then right away, the next day it was season canceled, and it was really a hollow feeling. Obviously, at one point you're out, you've been knocked out, or you keep going. But having that kind of just sitting with us really was a hollow feeling in your stomach. The kind of explanation and not really a chance to have exit meetings with the players left it that way. And I've since reached out a couple times to most of the guys, and that's kind of the same feeling they had. We were really building as a team. We were kind of already road ready with our first playoff series, and we were excited to take on the best team, I think, in the country, or number 1 ranked team in the country at that time, Sherwood Park Crusaders, and kind of see where we were going to sit in the pecking order.
Now, of course, you got a few players who are graduating, and this would have been their last kick at the can to take home the title in the AJHL. What do you say to players like Jeremy Klessens or Jesse Pomeroy, who won't be returning next year and never really got their final shot?
Well, totally. That is honestly one of the worst parts. And to one guy, I really, Jesse Pomeroy has a ride to Niagara. He's heading there. The other 20-year-old Matthew Kanash is going to Brown. We had also picked up a kid by the name of Beck Willis, and I'm not sure what he wants to do or going to decide to do. But the biggest one, honestly, was Jeremy Klessens. We had lots of teams coming to look at him. He had played so well in that first round against Bonnyville. He had led both teams in scoring, and I just felt that there was teams that were going to get a chance to really look to see what he was going to be able to do, because he's so good in his defensive zone. He's good on faceoffs. He's a power play, penalty kill for us, and we were kind of hoping that he'd get a chance to really showcase to Div 1 teams, but that's just the hockey gods. He did get a very good U Sport scholarship. He's heading to Trinity Western next year, where I know he's going to do very well. But it would have been nice because he put a lot of time into the Western Hockey League, played well over 250 games, and he certainly did so much for our program that it was also inside of me certainly a goal of mine to see where we could get Jeremy to. But unfortunately, that's the hockey gods, and we'll have to. I know he'll do well regardless, but we were kind of hoping for something else.
Now, obviously, that's a big piece moving out, and it's hard to replace a lot of that leadership and obviously the talent. But you do have some pieces on this team going next year that I think will help you guys win. One of those is goaltender Eric Ward, who I thought played absolutely spectacular in that first round against Bonnyville. Do you believe that the work he put in as a rookie this year and the playoff showcase he had is really going to put him forward to be one of the premier goaltenders, if not the best goaltender in the AJHL next year?
Well, definitely, and that's what we're hoping. And for an 0-1 like that, for him to come in, and you're right, he was our playoff MVP. The couple games we lost in Drayton Valley, we didn't give him the run support he needed. He outplayed. He played well, but we lost 3-2 and then 1-0, and that just can't happen in your own barn. But going in there. He was by far the best player, and we're hoping, and I know he's working hard in the off season right now. We're hoping that he can continue where he left off. But as the entire team, that's where we have to look at. We've grown a lot in the last couple of years, but like you said, even with this round not being able to do our second round of playoffs, it's unfinished business. Well, coming into the season, we've got to hit the ground running, be a top team, be a contender. And make sure that we are, same thing, we're getting better every day. We know how to play in our own end, which is key. And we got to how we see what we can do on a consistent basis to be a good team. I in the 2 years I was there, we've always had a lull, kind of a quarter of the way into the season, and we certainly have to eliminate that. But we've done a good job, we think, recruiting, and then obviously with our goaltending being fantastic and phenomenal that we think we are going to have, good things can happen.
Now, you spoke about next season. Is there any worry that the season doesn't start on time? Have you heard anything that contradicts September-October start?
No, we haven't heard anything. You guys are all we're all in the same loop with Hockey Canada and the CJHL. So, my fingers are crossed that worst case scenario that we might September 1st would be nice. That we can get together with our team. We would probably have a quick 2-week training camp and then get ready to play. I really feel for every team in the CJHL and for all hockey teams. And marketing is tough on everybody to be able to sell advertisement with any of these with this time. So it'd be nice to be able to still get our 58 games in. We're not sure if we're going to go. It was a plan to go to one league, but we might have to adjust that. We'll let the governors and the owners put that together. But our job will be, regardless of when they say, we have to be ready and to hit the ground and be able to make sure we're a quality team again, regardless of what time it is.
I'm not one to start the rumor mill, but from all I've heard is maybe as many as 3 teams might take a year in lieu next year. How does that affect you guys in the schedule? And do you feel that Drayton Valley is a safe team that could operate next season?
Well, I sure hope so. I've had great conversations with Monty and Cindy Warnick. They've just been absolutely first class. And I think we, as a team, the Drayton Valley Thunder, have been just kind of building. And it would be just a shame to take that year off. But at the end of the day, I have heard things, but until, you actually see what's going to happen and you hear it officially coming from our league, I'm sure just right now it's all speculations, and teams are trying to do as much as they can. And that's where we've got to be able to, as a league, be strong. It just can't be a couple good, strong teams or 4 strong teams. That's not healthy for the league. It's got to be the 15 or 16 teams ready to come into play and see what hits the ice come this September.
Do the rumors of teams not returning affect how you go and find players over this summer? If 3, let's say, even if one team doesn't come back, that's a pool of 22 players that are going to be looking for a new home.
I haven't. I've just stuck with kind of what we had planned. First of all, we were looking at having some spring ID camps. We look to get players from those spring ID camps. And since that hasn't happened, I have spent so much time video watching. It has been from players, through the Canadian sports schools, through the different midget leagues across North America. Basically, we've gone all the way down into Culver, Indiana, to look for players out into Minnesota, Michigan. So we're trying to do as much as we can to bring in a quality team. But I really like our spring tryout camps, and if we have to, we might just wait to see what's going to happen with that. But I see a lot of teams are signing guys. Our goaltending situation is fine. I like our defense coming back. I think we've. Yeah, exactly. And then our goaltending, obviously is going to be excellent. I think our defense is going to be really good. We lose some key forwards, like you said, like Klessens, Kanash, those guys moving on that certainly brought a lot of offense to the table. And now it's my job to find players, but it's also responsibility of the players coming back. It's like university hockey. Those guys have to step in, play increased ice time, play a bigger role. And we have to be able to get as much out of those guys as we can.
A little bit about you now, Erica. So you played overseas, the Netherlands, Italy, Switzerland, Germany. Let me know if I'm forgetting anything. Which one of those stops was your favorite and why?
That's a good question. But I think the 3 years I did in Kassel, Germany were absolutely gold. I'm still in contact with a lot of those guys. We had really, really good teams. Kassel was a wonderful town. It was perfect size, kind of about 400,000. It had the parts factory for Volkswagen, Porsche, Audi, and so it was there was a huge Volkswagen parts factory there, and the people were very, very much passionate about hockey. One of the nice stories, hockey stories, about unfortunate, but just before Christmas, our team went completely bankrupt, and they were going to close operation and just shut down, and quite a few players left. But myself and the other import, and there was kind of other German guys around, and a few German Canadians. It was too late for us to go anywhere, so we had a meeting and kind of just sitting around and just said, "Hey, let's stick it out and play." They put out boxes in the stands for us to kind of survive. We certainly weren't getting our paycheck; we were just getting a little bit of money. But restaurants came on board. A gas station let us get free gas. We kept going, and we played without any pressure, and we ended up in there's a round to move up in the playoffs, and we ended up in that round with 12 players, and we just went out and played. But the funny part is our goalie was really good, and he just stood on his head, and we had a good team, and they've invited us back, that group of guys, to go back to Kassel, still celebrate. But that's kind of one of the best experience coming out of Kassel, playing with those guys and just going through that adversity, but still really enjoying each other's company. We had more than a few flats on road trips that were brought on the bus for us, and we just basically, it was no pressure, slap shot hockey, player coach kind of situation, and we ended up doing pretty well.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you to tell the story you told us on Inside the AJHL this year with Tyler Remchuk about something that would happen after victories in Germany involving a keg?
Well, there would be, with this team, there'd be kegs brought onto the ice by the fans. And our very last home game, they had all the fans. And I know kind of from on my side where the blue line was, I could count 14 kegs of beer brought onto the ice. And it was just, I think I came off the ice after our game. The game finishes 9:30 and 10. I think I came off the ice at about 2 a.m., still in my hockey stuff, and continuing on from there. But the people I know of Kassel were just so appreciative of these guys. Kind of, I think most teams nowadays, everybody just goes on their way, and they kind of left. But we still practice. We came and played, and we kind of, the idea is we tried to get them out of bankruptcy. And that money that was made from everything else went to pay off the team's debt. And I don't think that's a normal thing that a lot of people would do, but that's Canadian hockey players. And that's, it was always, just such fun to, it'd be hilarious because we would load up the bus and all of a sudden a fan would pull up and he'd have 4 flats of beer, but we've got 12 guys. So, but no, that was a great experience. And I remember that afterwards of all those kegs of beer on the ice from the local brewery was nothing but trouble as usual.
Traveling back in time to when you looked more like John Travolta, you played 3 years in the dub with Prince George. Those last 2 seasons, you averaged over a point a game. Were you a little surprised, like, not to hear your name called at the NHL entry draft?
People talk about, you might get signed, you might get drafted or whatever. But, I didn't have an agent. I didn't have any representative. I was very naive in that kind of aspect of things. But, kind of when you're a 5'11" defenseman, back in that era, it wasn't, it was, it was kind of the hook, the hold, play big. And I know you're going to find this hard to believe, but I wasn't much of a scrapper. I think the few fights that I had, I certainly did a good job on that player's knuckles. I think they were sore after. So, I thought maybe, I would get it kind of as a 20-year-old, get, invited to, a camp or whatever. But maybe at the end result, my game was more fit to the bigger ice, the European type of game. And I certainly would not change anything for what I did, how it all worked out. I really loved my time over there, and then to be able to come back and be a part of the U of A program really holds near and dear to my heart.
2 of those players you got to play with in Prince George were the Courtnall brothers, Russ and Jeff. They each went on to play over 1,000 NHL games in their career. Each carved out pretty decent careers. Are those the best 2 players you've played with?
Yeah. Jeff was. It's funny. Jeff was a late bloomer. Jeff, I remember our first year, like a big tall kid, 6'2", 6'3", but he maybe was 168 pounds soaking wet. And then over that summer, he just took off, and as his 20-year-old year was just phenomenal. He played so well. He was tough. He could shoot the puck. He was just he really took off from that. But Russ, right from the get-go, was a superstar. Russ's speed, his skill, how he could shoot the puck. Like Russ, from his very first year coming out of, I think he was out of Notre Dame, was just, you were in awe as he, was going by you. And there was another good player that came out of there, Fabian Joseph, who ended up being the captain of the Canadian Olympic team. He was just a quality guy. There was a couple other guys earlier, Mark Morrison, Paul Sear, Rich Chernamez. There were some really good players coming out of that Victoria Cougar team that ended up moving up to Prince George, that came off of that Memorial Cup team that was just, those guys were big time players. But Jeff and Russ, were great to play with those years. Jeff had a great sense of humor, kind of the practical joker kind of guy. Russ was a little more subdued, quieter, I think, because Jeff took up all the air. But still just the first class, really nice family, and really enjoyed playing with those 2 guys.
From 91 to 94, according to your hockey DB, you weren't involved in the sport of hockey at all. What were you doing during that time?
91 to 94. Geez, now you're really testing my old-timer. Yeah. So after I came back from Europe, it's funny, I had a friend of mine in Italy, and he wanted me to kind of sell some of his wine and promote his wine. And so I ended up, though, just taking a job at a wine store and doing that. And then I moved to, I got to be very good friends with Wilf Brooks. And then I took on with Wilf at United Cycle, and really enjoyed that experience it wasn't for a very long time. But then I came on at the U of A, with that. I know there's some years I think with hockey DB or with those things that they might have missed a little bit of time in Italy when I finished up there. So I think I played 92, 91, 92. It's hard to remember that long back, when I had hair and I was actually kind of knowing what I was doing. But, came back, did those 2 things. And then I joined the U of A as an assistant coach coming out of there, and never looked back.
You spent a lot of time at the U of A, nearly 20 years. Do you have a favorite memory of coaching?
Well, those championships are amazing. And there's no different, the ones you go through, the very first one, with our guys in Saskatoon, being able to coach with Rob Dahm absolutely a joy every day. I mean, just an incredible hockey man, wonderful sense of humor. Ted Poplawski, it was fabulous. He and I have remained great friends. Dan Baumeister was sometimes part of that, that group. But being able to win the championships, with those guys, having the rings, just seeing each other, on a day-to-day basis, a great group of guys. Later on when I was, head coach, the first one at Rexall was really something to see those fifth-year guys being able to take the trophy home. And then a couple years later, in a tough circumstances, I don't think we had a lot of fans in that rink in Moncton where we were playing University of New Brunswick, and Aaron Sorchin, our goalie, played very well. But to come away with that 3-2 win in just a tough environment was fantastic. So, when you look back, it's those 6 championships and the guys that you played with that really, really stand out and are near and dear to your heart. And those guys will always be great friends. You may not see them a lot, but within, running into them different places, within 5 seconds, it's like you haven't missed a beat, which is a lot of fun.
One of those you mentioned was Dan Baumeister. His son Jay obviously carved out quite a nice NHL career for himself. I've heard stories of him at 12 or 13 years old going to the U of A practices and running the tables. Is that true? Can you confirm any of that?
Well, he would skate. What would happen is he would skate. Our alumni would skate on Fridays before the games. And it might have been earlier, like Jay even at 8 years old. And Dan would have him to the side. And when Dan wasn't on the ice, Jay was skating back and forth. But as he grew up and, getting older, he was, you could just see the pure grace of his stride, the speed. Dan was a very good hockey player. Dan was as tough as nails. He blocked shots, and Dan had a real good way to his game. But Jay out there, you could see basically, I think it was, I'd be with the team and Jay would be heading down the hallway to go skate. And it was just, he's going to play in the NHL. You just didn't realize it was going to be for, obviously for as long as he did. But we still, I remember when St. Louis won, it was, we're all watching, my whole family's watching. And another funny story is that Dan is such a great guy. And my wife wanted us to build a little playhouse for our kids in the backyard. And Dan is a phenomenal with his construction and that. And who comes over with him to help build the playhouse? Jay Baumeister. So Jay and his dad have built our playhouse in our backyard. And it's still standing. And we still laugh about the stories where we came in for lunch. And I'm sure Jay must have ate 8 ham sandwiches because he was 6'4" NHL hockey player. It was quite funny.
I couldn't imagine being a mom or dad having to feed one of those kids.
The bottomless pit.
A couple more here for you, Eric.
Yeah.
So now you're going to be entering your 3rd season with Drayton Valley. Do you feel more comfortable with the kids now that you've been there for a while and you've been in the AJHL, or do you still feel like you're still trying to find your legs?
No, I feel comfortable. I think, the first year was a real, getting used to the style of play, getting used to the players, getting used to the arenas, getting used to having to make trades. Because at the U of A, you had your team. And all of a sudden now, I guess you start to be, you come close to your players. I mean, you like them. You like what they do to the table. But this is the part that I find really emotionally tough, where you can't get connected to them, and you've got to be able to try to make your team better. It's obviously not personal. And my very first year, we were just trying to change the culture of our organization, and last year was just it was again a lot of fun. Such a huge group of guys in the dressing room. We've got a phenomenal room. Kind of took from that book about the All Blacks, about legacy and just getting rid of the dickheads. And we've got a real good room. And then now this year, it's now expectations of we want to finish, better than we did last year. We were 26, 25, a little one game over 500. Well, now the expectations are different. But myself knowing the league, knowing the players that I have to bring in, the players that I have, I'm excited about it. And I really, you have to realize the coaching in the AJ is phenomenal. Paps, what he does in Brooks, he's got such a great program. What Sherwood Park did last year, Kyle Chase has done a great job building the programs. The work that the coaches in the Alberta Junior Hockey League and BC and across, you don't make a lot of money, but it is a 24/7. It's a real true passion for everybody. And that's what I really respect that about the coaching in the AJ. And it's a real honor to be a part of that group and be able to, go to work every day to be able to be a hockey coach.
Do you have plans after the AJ at all, or is this exactly where you want to be?
No. I mean, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I would like to, continue my coaching. I'd like to try to move on to the Western Hockey League or other opportunities that come up there. I know it's tough. They're going to look at former NHL guys that have finished, and the coaching fraternity. There's so many great coaches out there that it is what it is. But I think I want to be honest with the players, and like the players, I want to try to get better. I want to be able to try to keep developing my game and maybe move my game on, and then we'll go from there. But for now, I am. So happy to be part of the Drayton Valley Thunder. I love the community. I was out there yesterday. It's such a great place. People are honest, passionate. They're hardworking, and they're going through a tough time right now. But Drayton Valley has put so much fun back into the coaching, and with Monty and Cindy Warnock being at the helm, it has really been a pleasure. And I could have the season start tomorrow. Just the way things are, but you got to be patient. You got to wait for our season to start, and then we'll look to see how things go from there.
Personally, Eric, I think it's an excellent message to the players that even where you're at, you're not completely satisfied, and you'd like to keep moving. And I think that's something that they can all take in. But what other lessons do you try to teach the players if they could walk away with one thing that they've learned from you?
You know what? I think the biggest part is, this is going to sound really funny and maybe cliche, but boy, you got to have fun. If you don't have fun playing, and if you don't have fun what you're doing in work and in life, it doesn't change you. But boy, you need to have a spring in your step. You need to bring passion and enthusiasm to whatever you do. And that's what I hope they take away. And it's funny, we kind of go over sometimes 3, sometimes 5 key things we want to do, but for the game, it could be getting pucks in deep, what our forechecking is, but always number 5. And I know they're sick of it. I just say, hey boys, what's number 5 here? What do we have to do? And we have our captain this year going to let us know, Kay Blay, and he says, boys, let's go out and have fun. And I think that's what I hope they take away. Whatever they do, just go out and have fun with it and bring your passion to it. And I know that you'll be successful then.
Well, thanks for joining us, Eric. You gave us way more time than I expected, and it's always a pleasure to have you on. I hope we get to chat again soon next year inside the AJHL and continuing with this coaches series.
No, absolutely. Wyatt, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. But I think next time maybe it'd be best over the radio. I've got a better face for radio than actually for TV. So I think just for all the fans out there, it'd be better just to hear me, not have to see me.
Well, I'll disagree with you there, but we'll definitely get you on the radio too as well, Eric.
Okay, Wyatt, thank you very much, and good luck with this program. I know it'll do well.
Hey, thank you, Eric, and good luck next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it.